And here we are on episode 69, and we are in May of 2023 already, which is insane.
Yes.
Crazy how quick time flies. Have you guys ever had a great idea? Maybe talked about it with your team, you're excited, and it ends up going absolutely nowhere.
Yes, Peter.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. Me too. And it sucks. It absolutely sucks. Blake, why don't you kick us off as we talk about how to get your ideas to stick within your teams?
Well, as you guys aren't able to see, we have a live audience here today, which is amazing.
That's right.
Anyway, yeah, so you're so right, man. There's so many times we have these ideas about we want to talk about, we want to dig into certain things, and we're like, oh my goodness, this thing I just created is next level. People are going to like, it's like that thing, like the TikTok videos that you see or the Instagram videos are like what we think they'll do. And then what they actually do, like in my head, I'm like developing things at times and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be unbelievable. They don't even understand the impact this is going to have on their lives. They're going to see it. Tears are just going to start flowing.
Yeah.
Because they're like, this is what I've been missing. This is the food to my soul. Like that's what I think is going to happen.
Right.
And then you're showing them the thing and you're like, what do you think? And they're like, I don't get it. And you're like, no, it's like everything just shatters in that moment. And you're like, I just don't even know that I want to do this anymore. But anyway, like, I know that sounds like ridiculous, but I know that's where everybody is in their heads because that's where I go. And I got to assume that I'm not the only psychopath in the world. So anyway, I think it's true. Like, where do we go with this stuff? How do we help ideas stick within our team so that we don't have that issue happen where we think we're creating God's greatest thing? That it was like he brought it down and handed it and said, this is for you. And then you gave it to your team and you thought this is going to do it. And then it just doesn't click and it doesn't happen.
Right.
The first thing I want to say, take a breath. It's all right. It's okay.
Yeah.
This happens. It doesn't mean it's not good. Okay, it doesn't. Because people don't understand it does not mean it's not great. I'm sure the first time the car idea came out, people were probably like, I don't get it. Like, why do that? These horses work great. You know, like, so you don't understand it's, well, we got to spend time to educate and to show things, right? So we got to take that time. But I think what's really important here, and this is the first thing that I want to say, is that we got to help them understand why this even matters. Yeah. Why does it matter? Don't start with the how. Don't start with the what's. Like, I'm speaking very Simon Sinek here, but start with the whys. Start with why this could really help them. Let's talk about how this could impact their productivity, how this could impact the customer. Like, focus on those things because you internally know how this idea, this process, this product could change everything. But a lot of times it's like when we go to tell people about it, we don't start at the beginning of the sentence. We're starting at the end of the sentence.
Yes.
We're starting and that's why it's like you turn on something and all of a sudden they're like, and that's why I had to stop taking Preparation H. And you're like, whoa, what? Hold on a sec. I take oh man, I need to find out what they were talking. Well, that's what we do a lot of times with our products and our processes and new ideas that we're bringing into the mix is we're starting to tell them at the end of the sentence. We need to start at the beginning of the sentence. Start with why does this matter? Like, you want to really shatter some things here? Tell them what it is and the problem that it's actually solving.
Yeah.
Maybe start there. Why does it matter? Because look, here's a problem we have. If you want to land any plane, build the why and the problem and the issues first so that they're like, oh my goodness, wouldn't it be great if there was a product out there or a process out there that fixed this problem? And then you could be like, but wait, there's more. Here you go. And you can start landing the plane on how that actually matters. So share the impact, share the problem that it's solving, and help them see themselves as the hero. Okay, so don't try to make the absolute best product. Create a product in which they're going to find themselves somewhat as the owner of that product too. So a lot of times I've learned, don't create the 99% of the product or 100% or not, let's say 99, and you want them to give 1%. No, I'm telling you, I've created some what in my eyes were great processes and products and great calculators to help our team. And then I got it in front of them and they're like, that doesn't even matter to us. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, that hurts my feelings a lot. And I want to fix the feelings that I have right now. And like, but
Yeah.
what I've learned is, okay, I've got multiple things here, right? I'm going to share multiple items, right? Now, what do you think about this? What do you think about this aspect of the product?
Hmm.
Yeah, I like that, but don't you need this too? Do you know how many times like I've brought a product to our team that's going to help and they were like, "Aren't you missing like the wire?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm missing the wire." Like
Yes.
I'm missing a whole bunch here
Yeah.
and it helped make the product better and that feedback and that like conversation about creating this idea and making it better actually made them have ownership in the product. And I
Right.
love that because it's not about who has the best idea. There is no one singular idea. It's great when everybody has buy-in to that idea, right? And that's when we start saying, well, what can make this better? You know,
Yeah.
what could make this next level? And when you can hit those things first, then we can start going into the how and the what, but not even right away. Like, I think we
No.
gotta take it to a second place before we even jump into that. And
Yeah.
Pete, what's that?
Once you've talked about why it matters and what's important about it, how it can impact them, I think a lot of leaders they skip this next step, right? And that is, it's easy for us to just kind of go, okay, I've given the idea, now run with it. And as leaders, we have to stop forcing our kids on others, right? I mean,
So
that's the reality. These ideas are basically our children, right? We're the parent. We are the idea parent as leaders, and that's great. But if your kids are great, your ideas are great, it'll be known quickly. It'll come out. But we can't just force that onto our team and say, okay, here's my idea. I'm going to throw it up all over you and now just go with it. Right. Um, Back when I was in working in drama, we had this saying that, people only rise to a certain level.
mm,
And in order to bring an audience along to the way that you're feeling and the emotions that you're expressing, you have to go above and beyond what you would consider normal in that situation. So the principle here is your team is only going to rise to about 75% of your enthusiasm,
oh yeah.
which that's scary as a leader, right? Because if that means you take 100% and drop it in the lap, 75% might get done, maybe, right?
Yeah.
So as the idea parent, it's your responsibility to be the champion and to push this forward.
Yeah.
Hold on to those kids, train those kids, guide those kids, right? We're leading them in that method. You can't just drop it in their lap.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And I think it's important for us to understand that like this idea of your kids doesn't mean it's not their kids too. Okay.
That's
Like,
valid.
because part of this, it's almost like the whole it takes a village to raise kids kind of
Mhm.
concept. I think that's what makes a great idea great. Not that this is your kid and I guess I'll let you be a stepdad or a stepmom, It's not that. It's like, hey, it takes a village to raise kids. It takes a group of people with similar ideas and really to round this out.
Yeah.
So don't hold it so tightly because when you hold it so tightly, anytime anyone does want to add anything to it or change something, you take it personal. You get real emotional about it. Don't. Like, you are not your idea. You are not your kids. If you have kids, you're not them. And we take a lot of ownership, like when they mess up something. Oh my gosh, I can't believe they messed up. How does that reflect on me? Who cares? Like, yeah, I want to help them grow in that, but they're growing, they're learning. Like, you are not that. So don't hold your ideas so tightly that as soon as someone pulls one idea out, you feel like it all just falls apart. Okay.
Yeah.
And anytime people criticize it, even constructively or not constructively, doesn't mean it doesn't still hold value. A lot of times, constructive criticism is talking about 10% of the product,
Hmm.
not 100%. It's just talking
Yeah.
about 10% of the product. So
Yeah.
is 90% still great? Yes. So stop freaking out about the 10%. It's making it better.
Absolutely. And the other part of this too, I think with stop forcing your kids on others. Not only do we have to make sure we champion this, but we've got to champion it in the sense of practicing what we preach, right? If we're bringing this product to the team or this concept or whatever it is, you better have checked it first and you better have implemented it first to see that it works and to show that proof of concept, right?
Yeah.
Not only will that speak proof of concept, it'll also show value. Here is why this works. Here's how it works. And here is what it's done to improve XYZ, whatever it is, right? You've got to be the one. Again, I use the illustration of taking the idea and dropping it in somebody's lap. You can't do that. That is a surefire way to kill that idea. Just right there. It's going to die.
Yeah. And that's so good. So those are the first two steps. Those are the things to think about. Why does this matter? And then like being the champion of this and not forcing your kids upon others. So then now, how do we do this? How do we make sure that there's somewhat of a process in place to make sure that this is landing?
Yeah.
Well, I've kind of run by this 4-step process. Other people may have other steps in this process. That's okay. Our 4-step process for landing a plane really, like, and again, you might have more people who have different ideas on how to do this. But the first thing we do is we say, just watch me do the thing. Okay, I've explained why it matters. I've explained why you need to be the champion of it. But as you go to land this plane, you've got to help them understand, hey, just watch me and understand and try to come up with why you think I'm doing things. Now that you know the bigger picture, start looking at that. So I will do it and just be like, watch me do it. Come up with your own questions and you can ask the questions after I'm done, but watch me do it. Okay. Now I showed you the thing and I probably in that time was explaining things. Now let's do it together. Okay. So now we're both going to jump in and we're going to have a lot of collaboration and, hey, how long do you think this will take? Okay. Well, let's put that in here. Let's move this here. Okay. Why don't you grab that thing and move it this time? Yeah, that's a great idea. Okay. Oh yeah. I didn't even think we could use that into the product and you start developing it. Then the next step is I'll watch you do it. Now you do it. And I'm just sitting back and I'm watching how you use the product. I'm watching the things you find important. You know, this is a lot of software development mindset, but it's also just process and product development mindset, right? It's how do we help them or how do we create things in the future that will still hit them in a way that they communicate well with. So then it's like, okay, so I'll watch you do it. Now, I wish it was just that easy to say, I'll watch you do it. And that's it. One time, donezo. No, this is where you've got to put in the time.
Yeah.
You do it as many times as you think it's going to take. And how many times is that? I don't know. You'll know though, because they'll do the thing and you're like, yep, that was it. That was perfect. Great. Show me another. Yep. You nailed it again. And one more. Oh, you got it. And then the last step is you do it. And I'm going to audit. I'm going to come in afterwards and check the thing and give you feedback. Hey, I think we're missing one thing. Let's get into this. I think we're going too granular. We need to stay high level. Right. So that's the 4-step process for landing the plane. High level again, it's watch me do it. Let's do it together. I'll watch you do it and we'll kind of go through the process together. But I'm going to kind of like tinker on things or adjust. And then the last one is you do it and I'll audit later. And then after that point, you're not doing it anymore. The plane has landed. They can now take off and they can land. And that's what you want. As a leader, it's not about what you can do and what you can build and the ideas you can bring. It's about empowering others to take all of that and start doing it themselves. And then it gets magical because they start coming up with ideas and start going through this process and developing a team that is so badass and scalable, you don't even know what to do with it. That's where we want to get to.
And it sounds like now we're done, right? But we're not. I think a lot of leaders can stop at that point too, right? We've implemented it. We've made sure that they're trained, they're moving it forward. But now the final step here is prove it wrong. Spend the time to show why it's the right process, right? If it's the right process, it'll be very hard to prove that it's wrong. And it's not going to happen immediately. It's going to take time. I can't think of a single implementation that I've done, and I know Blake has done several. I've done several of different softwares, projects, ideas, different things. That has the first time we've gone through it and it's been perfect. I cannot think of a single time that's ever happened.
Yeah, that's not real.
It's not. And anybody who tells you that that's what's the way it's going to go is trying to sell you something. For sure. Refinement is going to happen as time continues.
Yeah.
Some of the things that we've implemented in our organization started out different than what they are today, because we've refined those things as we've gone along. But we've also taken the time to go back and look at it and go, okay, let's break this. Let's make it not work and find out where it's not working so we can fix it.
That's right.
Take that time for that proving of this concept, right? At this point too, when you come across those moments, I don't want anybody to be scared too, that like all of a sudden everything's going to fall apart when you try to break it. Usually it's going to be small adjustments.
Yeah.
It's usually not a big change, right? Usually it's just this little thing that needs to be tweaked or a slight adjustment here or there. You've gone through the process of proof of concept. You've gone through the process of rolling it out to your team, and they've brought up ideas and things like that. So here it's just little tweaks and adjustments. If you do find yourself with a very significantly large change, ask why. And maybe instead of you're in the prove it wrong stage, maybe you're just back a couple steps and you've got to reevaluate again. Bring it in front of the team, make those adjustments, and just keep pushing forward, because it's going to get done if you keep pushing it forward.
Yeah.
If you just stop right there, it's the same thing as just dropping in somebody else's lap. It'll never get done and you'll never see the effects of it ever. So after you've gone through the training, prove it wrong. Take that time to do that for sure. It's easy for us to blame others for not implementing our ideas as leaders well, but it's on us as the idea parent to start with the why, push it forward, and see it through. Remember, stop forcing your kids on others. We're the parent, the idea parent. We got to push it forward and see it through. Follow the 4 steps of landing a plane. Watch me do it. Let's do it together. I'll watch you do it, and you do it, and I'll audit it later. Then prove it wrong. Thanks so much for joining us this week on the Ridgeline Leadership Podcast. See you guys next time.